Hello, I'm Harold Harb, and let me begin by thanking you for buying my Essentials DVD series. I'm here in the mountains of Colorado at my ski shop, and I'd like to welcome you to the first in the series of the Essentials DVDs. This one especially because it's about tipping. I know many of you who are watching are friends and have skied with us at PMTS camps. So to all skiers, whether you're new or a seasoned PMTS practitioner, I am confident you will find that this DVD series provides you with hours of viewing and learning enjoyment. The Essentials approach to skiing is based in PMTS, but it is a unique format. The program allows you to take charge of your own improvement and progress. It invites you to learn at your own pace, and it demonstrates in numerous ways how to link your movements with expert skiing. You will see how expert skiers use the same movements you are learning. Nothing has been left to chance or guesswork. This is a comprehensive plan, dissected and completely laid out for you to learn in an easy follow and copy practice method. So I wish you the best. Enjoy and learn and have fun with PMTS skiing and have a great season. So let's get started. When you study skiing for as long as I have, things that seem obvious become important. For example, in PMTS, I identify that modern skiing requires a different sense of balance than we are used to in everyday foot and leg activities like walking, sports movements, and in skiing, traditional technique. With the PMTS system and the Essentials approach, combined with the latest high-tech ski equipment, you are on the most direct track to success and satisfaction. With this series of DVDs, I identify and isolate the most important changes necessary for your skiing. The Essentials DVD series is designed for immediate application, so you just have to watch and do it. The biggest difference you can make in your skiing is to become comfortable with your body in angled positions. The more proficient you become with tipping your skis and angling your body, the more confident you will be on any slope. In this DVD series, you can observe and practice how tipping is accomplished with every part of the body that has the capability to create and support angles. Your skiing progress is proportional to your ability to create increasingly bigger angles starting at the feet at the very inception of the turn. Tipping is the most important essential in PMTS. Without it, all of the other essentials don't work that well. So here is a series of exercises that emphasizes lifting the edges. That's what tipping is, lifting one set of edges and lowering them again. Watch for that movement in this series of exercises and perform the exercises as demonstrated. Skiing is a sport that requires different movements and different body positions than what we're used to in daily life. For example, walking. Walking, we walk with our feet flat on the surface. When we run with our feet flat on the surface. When we do regular sports like basketball, the grip is with the shoes or running shoes flat. To get grip, we keep our feet flat on the surface. Tennis, same thing. Feet are flat on the surface. Skiing is a different place and a different usage of the body. Skiing, we are on our edges. Skiing, our feet are tipped on angles. And we move from this tipped angle down to flat and through flat to another set of tipped angles. So we're on angle when we ski, and the more you can learn how to use your body and your feet to get your body into angles like that, the better skier you'll become. The introduction to tipping without any equipment can be as simple as walking on a slight slope with your hiking boots. Walk across the slope and tip your feet onto the uphill side. Use the side of the shoes or the hiking boots to get grip so that you don't slip down. Just as you do in skiing, use your feet and ankles to tip and hold your feet on edge and make the side of the boot soles grip. Just by adding a pair of ski boots and a carpeted tilted board on an angle, you can become really proficient with tipping before the ski season. We are used to walking around on our feet and our boots like this, flat on the surface. As soon as I step on the incline board, you will notice I'm on edge to get grip. There is plenty of grip on this carpet, so you can practice your tipping in a safe, controlled environment. You can increase your tipping awareness and your knowledge of how your body moves when you tip. Tip your feet and do not move your upper body in that direction as you tip. Make your upper body lean the opposite way of your tipping. In tipping as I show here, to the right, my upper body tips to the left, so I can keep my body in balance. If I tip without balancing my upper body, I fall over. So when you tip your feet on an incline board, you can learn to make the upper body adjustments you need to stay in balance with on snow. Now, tipping onto the edges like this is just the beginning. Then there is tipping off the edges to flat and through to the other side or new set of edges. You can practice all of these movements on an incline board right through the transition to the other set of edges for a new turn. Harp carvers are ski simulator tools that allow us to train skiing movements without snow. Tipping on harp carvers on a slight slope gives us the feeling of producing turns by using tipping movements. To turn on harp carvers, you have to make the same tipping movements we use when tipping on snow. All the same principles apply. Shins at the same angles and tipping toward the little toe edge first. Now, let's go to tipping with skis. Always test your movements this way. I do it all the time to verify how much foot movement and how much effort against the boot it takes to lift one set of edges and then go back to the other set. A little bit of bending in the legs helps to begin with, and then start lifting one set of edges by tipping your feet. Push against the side walls of the boots with your ankles and use your feet and ankles to tip the boots. Let your hips adjust to the changes at the base to keep the upper body in balance. Practice until you can go from one set of edges to the other without interruption through flat. When the skis are flat on the snow, that's your neutral point, just as it is in skiing. Move right through it to the other set of edges. As you watch the free ski segments in this DVD, try to identify where the skis are tipping onto their edges and where the skis are tipping off the edges. Many skiers will omit these exercises because they look at tipping as a natural thing one should be able to do, or because these exercises don't look important enough. I can tell you there's more to it than what you see. For one thing, many people who try these edge changes end up swiveling or pivoting the skis when they are trying to go from one set of edges to the other. If you notice, my skis don't pivot, change directions, or slip when I change edges. This has to do with foot tipping practice. Learn to feel the edges engage and release without any pivot or direction change, and you will end up skiing correctly. The other thing to look at is the leg shafts. Keep them parallel. Watch my shins. Notice how they stay parallel when I'm tipping from side to side. The same amount of tipping should happen on both feet. That keeps the angles of the skis the same. This brushy flush drill is a great way to practice continuous tipping movements. We often include these exercises in our ski camps. In the sliding on edge exercises, we learn how to hold clean edges while moving across the slope. This exercise will raise your awareness of what skis should be doing in a turn. To begin, tip the skis on edge and hold the skis on edge before letting go. Every skier must experience holding an edge without slipping downhill. Repeat each starting direction shown in the diagram until you become more comfortable with holding the skis on edge. Make sure to practice in both directions. As you set up for the release of the skis, cut grooves in the snow with the skis to help define your tipping angle as shown. The angle to the slope of the grooves represents the first starting direction. The first angle of the skis pointed across the slope is shallow to control speed. Establishing grooves helps tip your feet and legs correctly before you begin moving. Work through every starting direction and angle until you can carve on edge comfortably. If you are having difficulty with these exercises or any exercises, remember, you can go back to the stationary tipping exercises to increase your lower body movement. Setting up properly is an important part of being successful with this exercise. It involves holding yourself in place with your poles, angle them forward to brace against. Make sure you are in balance before you let go of the poles. Maintain balance and ski tipping angles through the whole arc. Sliding on edge exercises develop the balance needed to ride the skis while on edge in a progressive manner. Here are 2 tips that will help you hold the skis on edge. Your weight can be divided equally between both skis. Tip first to the little toe edge, then match that tipping with the other foot to keep both skis and both feet at the same angle. When you practice tipping exercises, they should not only enhance your tipping, they should confirm to you whether you have the tipping abilities. If you don't verify that you are performing these exercises correctly, how can you be sure that you have the movements built into your regular skiing? That's why these simple exercises are important, even if these exercises seem simplistic and rudimentary. To many skiers, these exercises look easy, so they end up skipping them, missing the opportunity to validate their skiing progress. Here's one that's really important that demonstrates, can you tip your skis and can you hold on to the tip once you've tipped them, even on a steeper slope or on ice. So the start with this one is begin by tilting your skis up on edge or hinging on the edges to a fairly good degree of angle, like this one. And then from here, hop and land on your edges without letting the skis go flat. Here I'm on a slight slope, so when I land, I have to hold my edges in the snow. Tipping to an edge from a starting direction straight down the fall line with the skis totally flat is a breakthrough for most skiers. Start with the skis flat, not already tipped on edge as in the previous exercise. Slide forward and tip the skis after you begin moving. Once you begin tipping, keep arcing the skis until you stop. Further breakthroughs require that we learn to tip both skis without the skis drifting or skidding. Keep your skis running in the exact line they were in before you started tipping. This means tipping to the edges without direction change, as we demonstrated with the carvers and on the incline board. Watch that your skis do not change directions as you begin tipping. Let's review tipping onto an edge from a straight run. This may look easy, but for many intermediates and even experts, this is a glaring omission in their skiing development. Most skiers pivot or push their tails out to the side when tipping to engage from a flat ski. Every ski turn has a transition where the skis are flat at one point. Transitioning to the new edges without the dreaded push or pivot is an important ability. Here is an example of a transition. As the skis go through flat in transition, that's the moment when you don't want to pivot or push the skis to the side. Relate the movements of this exercise to how we want to engage in your real skiing transitions. In the following demonstrations, you will see practice tipping of each foot, ski, and leg individually. This develops more movement flexibility and tipping versatility. Make sure you practice tipping equally on and off the little toe edge of the uphill ski. Individual leg tipping incorporates releasing and engaging of that ski, and it can develop the movements you need to become comfortable with releasing in all situations. Stand with weight on both skis and relax the tipping leg. Use your foot to tilt the ski boot on and off the edge. It helps to keep a hand on your knee for immediate feedback. Tipping off the edges or releasing the edges will ultimately define your excellence as a skier. Most skiers find releasing or tipping off the edges more challenging than engaging or tipping onto the edges. The reason is partly psychological and partly balance. Releasing has to happen if new turns are to be started, and how you release defines the quality of your turns. Here in this graphic, we demonstrate how the releasing stance leg tips toward the little toe edge. The free foot follows the movements of the stance foot to come flat to the snow at the same time. This is the first half of the transition. In the second half, you continue moving through neutral toward the engagement of the new edges. A forward side slip is another way to find comfort with edge adjusting and balance. Skiers have rarely been introduced to the balance required to stay over their skis as they go flat. That's what releasing requires. From a balanced stationary position, start to flatten your skis to the surface. Release with both feet, making sure the stance ski releases first and stays in the lead. As you release, the skis begin to move slightly forward and downhill. Keep your feet under your hips, stay forward on your skis, and relax your legs. Let the skis move, stay balanced, and keep up with your skis. It's natural and typical at first to sit back, letting the skis move ahead or go forward. Avoid this by keeping the boots pulled under the hips and staying that way through the release. Once you can release with both skis and let the tips go downhill, tip them back onto the edges to finish the arc and come to a stop. Try to keep your movements progressive, slow, and even. Start by standing across the slope. Engage your skis by tipping onto the edges to begin carving. Once carving begins, relax the stance leg to begin the release. Releasing is tipping your downhill ski away from the big toe edge toward the little toe edge. Garlands are a combination of individual engaging and releasing exercises introduced earlier. Use the engaging ability you developed and practiced from the sliding on edge exercise to put the skis on edge, and the releasing movements from the forward side slip you learned and practiced to get off the edges. Combining these two exercises is the beginning of learning to use garlands as a training tool. Slide across the hill on your uphill edges as you did in the sliding on edge section. As your skis carve uphill, shift your tipping focus to the downhill foot. Tip that foot toward its little toe edge, flattening it to the snow. This is the beginning of releasing and the same movement as in the forward side slip. Once the skis begin to point downhill, shift back to tipping the uphill foot to engage the skis. This slow skiing on a flat slope demonstrates the tipping actions of releasing and engaging. Tipping off the edges or releasing decreases the edge angle, which exits the turn. Tipping onto the edges or engaging increases the edge angle, which creates the arc or turn. All right, now we're going to take tipping to the next level. I'm standing on a slight slope. I'm on my uphill edges on this slope. What I'm going to do is change edges to the downhill set of edges. This involves much more balance and control than just tipping onto the edges. Once I've changed edges, I'm on my new set of edges for the new turn headed this way. So this is an important exercise for your edge changes to start new turns. It allows you to feel the balance needed while skiing and making turns. Now let's rehearse edge changes in a stationary position on a slight slope. Take the stance ski, lift it, tip it toward and put it on its little toe edge first. Use your poles to hold yourself in balance and add the other ski to match on its big toe edge. Now get yourself in balance. Pick up the poles and balance on those new edges. Try a little tipping on and off so you can feel what it's like to stand on the downhill edges for the new turn. Now, bring the uphill ski flat, followed by the downhill ski. Practice rocking back and forth from and into these positions. In other words, tipping to the little toe edge followed by tipping to the big toe edge. The first time you try to make the complete changeover to the new set of edges, or the edge change, in a stationary position like this, you'll find that the downhill ski wants to slip away. That's because your commitment to the move is not solid. So it could take a little practice to get onto that edge. On steep, icy slopes like this, a continuous transition is important. Tipping off the edges through flat and onto the new edges engages the ski high in the arc. Hesitation has no place here. You have to know where your balance is and be confident that you'll still be in balance when you reach your new edges. In the previous exercise, stationary tipping on a side hill, we accomplished edge changes with movements of the lower body. That's the introduction to this actual practical skiing situation. As you can see, I begin this exercise by placing my skis on and standing on my new downhill edges. This is a new concept in ski instruction, but it has been used in racing for decades. Push yourself with your poles to get started if the slope is flat. This start approximates the position and balance from a point very high in a new arc. This exercise will reward you by solidifying your balance on the new edges after the transition. Practice this several times in both directions. The next step is becoming familiar and expert with garland exercises. This is the best way to become comfortable with both tipping to release and tipping to engage. It's hard to imagine that with garlands you can practice both the beginning of a turn, the release, and the end of a turn, tipping more, without even making a complete turn. That's what garlands allow us to do. The garland releases are held longer as you get comfortable with the skis going flat. This is the best way to inch yourself closer to a full release into a new turn. I know I have successfully accomplished garland training when I can decide at the fall line if I want to continue across the slope in the same direction or change edges and enter a new turn. Watch carefully as I flatten both skis to release the edges. This takes the skis downhill, just as you would to start a new turn. Stay balanced and centered without moving the upper body. Just before I am about to head straight downhill into the turn, I re-engage the skis to bring them back up into the hill. This repeated releasing and engaging process across the slope creates a series of half turns. Focus on waiting for the skis to react rather than trying to turn or twist your skis. Use the tipping actions of the feet and ankles to the side of the boots to engage and release the skis. In complete arcs, edge changes should happen after the skier finishes the arc and is headed into and almost across the fall line. Notice how through completed turns, the tipping increases as the arc progresses, just as in the sliding on edge exercises you learned earlier. Watch especially closely for the releasing movements at the end of turns. This movement is exactly the same as the tipping to release exercises and the flattening of the skis used in the garland practice runs, except that you continue into the fall line and new direction. When going through the transition from one side of the skis to the other, many skiers feel an unbalanced moment. It's important to be confident that the transition movement will result in solid balance on the new edges for the new arc. That's why in PMTS we use this exercise to develop confidence and balance. There are many common themes that string together the PMTS system. None is more important than knowing and figuring out how to release keeping the shins parallel. This is tied to the first release movement, off of the big toe edge. Tipping away from or off the big toe edge to start a release keeps the shins parallel and the skis working together. Engaging the skis for an arc or a turn is the opposite. You tip the new inside ski onto its little toe or outside ski edge. This keeps the shins parallel and the skis working together in the turn. If the stance ski is always released, flattened, or tipped off of the big toe edge first, it creates the correct releasing movement. Learn to recognize these movements by watching the lower body, especially the feet, very closely. Make sure that from time to time you have someone take video of your practice. Watch your practice to validate that your movements are what you want them to be. Trying to self-evaluate while practicing is difficult. Without visual feedback, it's hard to know if you are performing correctly. If you want to get closer to the action and are flexible enough, touching the hands to the boots or holding the toes of the boots is the ultimate transfer of tipping feeling. The main thing to focus on here is to keep the arms straight and tip the feet from one side to the other to create the arcs. In so doing, your knees will follow this movement. Feel and watch how the inside knee moves outside the arm and the outside knee moves inside the arm. Knowing how far you move the knee is important, as it reinforces that you are tipping enough to move your knees from one side of the arms to the other. Watch my kneecaps closely in this demo to see how they move from one side to the other of my straight arms. As you develop this ability to feel the knees moving, begin to help tip the boots with your hands. The exercise of bending over and touching the hands to the knees has numerous benefits, and it is an easier version of touching the toes. It is a tactile way to gauge whether you're tipping, how much you're tipping, and discovering which foot you are tipping first. Other benefits of skiing with the hands on the knees are eliminating upper body up and down movements and increasing awareness of foot tipping. Now, this is the edge hop exercise, another great way to enhance tipping ability with balance and ski edge hold all in one edge change movement. The idea here is to hop to a new set of edges without turning the skis in the transition. This is a challenging exercise and you will improve as you practice, so keep with it. Notice that my skis changed direction. That's not what I want. There, that's much better. You want to land with the skis on edge, aimed in their original direction. Be sure you tip strongly toward the little toe edge, as we emphasize in all PMTS exercises. Developing your advanced tipping skills in a stationary, controlled environment is really the way to test your tipping ability. Doing this exercise correctly here first will bring you closer to success when you do the exercise in a skiing situation. Practice this in a totally flat area with a friend so that you have someone to give you feedback or have someone to video you so you can watch the direction of the skis in the hopping edge change. This is what you'll likely see when you first try this exercise. If you do this while you're skiing, you'll get too much direction change in the transition. It helps to monitor your progress by using parallel lines like the skis set up here as a guide. Very little direction change in that hop, but try to keep the skis parallel like this. Like so. It's all right to look down to see if you're getting your skis and feet working correctly. Now you're ready for skiing with hopping edge changes with little or no direction change in the transition. Here I demonstrate skiing with hopping edge changes to create the transitions. To be able to hop the edge change, your skis have to be well fixed in the snow. Begin on moderate terrain and build up to connecting arcs with a hop transition. If you can land and take off in balance with hops, you will soon become confident to do quick releases and engagements on all terrain. Skiing with hop edge changes is exactly like practicing the stationary hopping edge change, except now you're skiing. This exercise reinforces your transitioning ability. Hopping edge changes look strenuous at first, but as you build momentum and learn to bend the ski, much of the effort to hop is reduced. Remember, this is not a high jump. Just hop enough to clear the skis from the snow. Notice how in that series I switched into dynamic edge changes without hops, but also the required movements and elements of counterbalancing need to be practiced before you get to this level. Stepping up or over to the little toe edge on harp carvers or skis is another way to work on and access your tipping ability. Make sure you take only a tiny step to the little toe side near the middle or end of the arc. Match the step with the other foot. If you can add another step in the traverse before releasing, you are really progressing. You may familiarize yourself with this exercise by beginning traversing a slope without turning and stepping up into the slope until you stop. Target tipping will connect your turns more smoothly and give you extra control. By using a tree, video cameraman, or lift tower as a target, you can help yourself improve your carving and arc shape for better ice hold and speed control. Find a target first. Make sure your target is to the side of the slope. Ski toward the target from the side, not from above. Aim your ski tips at the target and change edges, transitioning to the new edges with your skis still aiming at and sliding toward the target. Most skiers twist the skis in transition, aiming away from the target. This is not effective. It is this ski twisting that causes loss of control, abrupt hard edge sets, and unwanted speed. This target tipping exercise will teach you to reduce your twisting and therefore your skidding. Developing to an expert skiing level has its markers or reference points. One is edge control and balance on edge. The variable release is an expert skier performance point. Tipping the skis or wiggling on and off the edges looks easy, but requires a great deal of lateral balance and foot tipping perfection. This is an exercise for flat slopes that are wide open. Begin by practicing it one turn at a time. At first, relax the ankles and tip slightly off the edges, then back on, in the same turn. This exercise will teach you to loosen up your legs and ankles for quicker and more confident releases and engagements. These markers or brushes you see in the snow are plastic bristles that have been placed to guide your tipping development and quicken your foot movements. It may be difficult at first to realize that these quick edge changes and ski arcs are created by lateral, foot, and ankle tipping. As you progress in PMTS, you will realize that foot and ankle movements are the key to all skiing. The Tipping Essentials DVD presents the complete mastery of tipping actions, and it is the fastest way to move your skiing to the higher levels. There are hours, days, and weeks of practice routines in this DVD, so don't wait to get started. Now that you have viewed the Tipping Essentials DVD, you can see how to practice and digest this information. Take it one step at a time and practice these exercises at your level. Do as many exercises as you can master and have fun working toward more projects using these new movements. Cross over to the other essentials and spend time working on those as well. For a complete course in skiing, spend practice time on tipping, your complete upper body, and flexing and fore-aft balance. Then you can be assured that you'll develop all the movements without leaving anything behind. I wish you many seasons of great skiing with the PMTS formula. You need no longer guess how to ski like an expert. The secrets are all revealed and they aren't daunting. For a refresher or a complete week of in-depth PMTS instruction, visit our website to see the coming season schedule for Harb Ski Systems. Thank you for watching, and I hope my proven practice methods bring you to the skiing level you always knew was possible.